Welcome to the Words to Empower radio broadcast featuring Elder Frank Stewart, Senior Pastor of the Acts Ministries, North Little Rock and Conway. And now, Elder Stewart.
Take us to the book of Nahum, chapter 2, verse 2 in the New King James Version. Nahum, chapter 2, verse 2. How excellent. At his name, demons tremble. At his name, sickness leave. At his name, shackles are broken. Oh yes, we are the people of the name. Nahum chapter 2, verse 2, New King James Version. Oh, excellent is that name. This has been our text for the last few weeks, and it is the beginning as we transition into what God has been calling us to do, is to change the culture. To change the culture. And before we can do that around the church, we must do that inside of the church. To change how we think. We have to learn how to rethink our thinking. And we have to be humble enough to be able to realize that some of our thinking has been off. That's right. And we know that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So it's so important to get our thinking right. Thinking right. So in order to do that, we are in the process of changing our culture. When I talk about our way we spend our monies, talking $1.1 trillion, just African American, the way we spend that and what we spend it on is so important for us to understand if we're going to become what God has decreed for us to be. Most people do not know that Jesus talked about money more than anybody in the Bible. He set up the monetary system in Genesis. When you have Abel and you have Cain. And the reason why he did it is because you got to have a value. Whether it's lambs or goats or bulls, there must be a value system so we will know how to give God the first and the best. Can't do that without a system, because it ain't what you give him. He dealing with the heart. It's a heart issue. So we've been talking about, there's just one word we've really been talking about, and that's the emptiers. You see that word? The emptiers, a very unique word. Very unique word. We know what it means to be emptied. That's a verb. To be empty, that's an adjective. But here, in the King James Version, the New King James Version, the original, it says emptiers. And what an emptier is a weapon. It's a way of, it's a strategy from the very pit of hell that comes and besiege a person to empty everything out of them, to pour junk in them. This is one of those demons from hell that we have failed to recognize. It is not a demon that says, I want to kill you, I want to empty you, and I want to use your talents and your ability for the kingdom of darkness. To be emptied out. So we've been talking about that for a while, and we're moving towards the culture, but we got to get this first, because in order to change culture, they had to empty the people out. Empty out the good, and he's only looking for the best and the brightest, and he's definitely looking for every male so he can empty out good stuff, pour in his junk so they will become a weapon for him. The emptiers, in Genesis chapter 1 and first three verses, chapter 1, 2, and 3. That's where we're going to take our text today. The emptiers. I want to talk to folks that know that you have been emptied. You know something has happened in your life. In the book of Genesis, dealing with Joseph, it talks about the emptiers emptying the person during their time of famine. Famine. Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, there are so many empty people on this planet that even though they have a physical shell, they have been emptied out. And that's what the devil designed this weapon to do, from the Assyrians to the Babylonians, and the text I just read about the emptiers. That is, he's talking about what they would come in and take a nation, change their environment, change their name, change their diet, change the way they dress, change everything. Why? In order to get to their God. To get to their God. Trying to change their God. So the emptiers. And the thing that we must understand is that all of us has been emptied at one time or another. It's a dangerous thing to be empty and not know it. It's one thing to know your gas hand is on E. It's another thing not to know that you on empty. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. And so many people, we're not careful, we'll go through life and just have been emptied out in life. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God did. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. I want you to look at this as we bring to a closure the process of being emptied out and move in towards changing culture, which is probably one of the most important messages God has given unto us, especially what he's getting ready to do here. In the NIV, it says it like this. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Uses one another definitions for that. Void, it talks about being empty. You say you're void, you're empty. And we're going to talk about how that process of being empty. Why was the earth said to be void or empty? I'm not going to get deep into the theology of it and the different theories. That's not the point. The point here is many times we feel empty and we don't know why. We don't know what's going on with us. We don't know why we're feeling the way we're feeling. Because when you start feeling empty, you don't have a desire for church. It's like I'll get there when I get there. It's like 1 hour a week, 1 hour out of 168 hour. God let us inhale, exhale. We become comfortable with 1 hour a week. And then sometimes we get angry with God because what we ask in God is not coming to fruition. Because we have not put ourselves in a position to prosper, to be blessed. We're not using enough medicine. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. So the more word we have, the healthier we will be. The more word we have, the more blessed we'll be. The more word we have, the more joy we will have. The more word we have, the more peace we will have. It starts with consuming the word. The word. The word. Because there are things in life that will attach itself to you. And it will drain you. Oh, God. It will drain you. I was thinking about on yesterday when we gave blood and how they hooked up and took that blood out of us. And then they said, you need to make sure you drink this, and you need to go over here and eat something. You need to replenish yourself. And they said, you need something sweet. Just get some sugar in you. Is that right? Need some sugar in you. I said, oh, Lord, you mean to tell me I got to eat cake? Oh, my goodness. I hadn't I hadn't, and it's not to give any glory to me, but I'd been without food for 10 days on a liquid diet, and then they said, because I'm getting rid of the sugars and all that, and she said, you got to eat some sugar. I said, I guess I will manage to do that. But I had to go and refill because something was taken out of me. Come on. Just like that, there's things that are hook up to your joy. There are situations on your job and in your home. There are things in life that will drain you. And we got to learn how to go to the filling station, the gas station, get filled up again. Filled up with joy. You just can't maintain your joy on your own. You got to get in the presence of the Lord. You got to come around the saints. You don't come around the saints, you'll find yourself all void, all empty, and things not going right. But I want you to see why there's an empty situation here. When it talks about the earth and it was void and it was empty. You know why it was empty? Because everything is out of place. This is a different aspect of being empty. Hear what I'm saying to you? We talked about Naomi. She got emptied because of the decision and the choices that they made to leave out of the house of bread and go to the house of incest. She got emptied from that. Joseph, he put him in a pit without water, trying to empty him. The Hebrew boys, Daniel and the 3 Hebrew boys, they took them to Babylon, changed their language, changed their name, changed their diet. What they're trying to do is trying to empty our young men out and fill them up with junk. But this is a different way to look at being empty. So we're doing some surgery here, and the reason why there's an empty feeling in some of us is because everything is out of place. And you'll never feel complete, you'll never feel full until you learn to put first things first. When things are out of place, then it just seems like you're lost. Oh, you better hear what I'm telling you. It just seems like you're lost. You seem like you just lost your way. It doesn't matter what's going on, just seem lost. Are y'all listening to me? So here we have in the book of Genesis, he's dealing with emptiness, and he's showing us why there's an emptying, because everything is out of place here. Everything is flooded. And somebody said a flood is just a river that has not made up its mind on what it's going to do. The difference between a flood and a river, the difference between being successful and failing is that you got to make up your mind and put everything in order.
Join the Acts family on Sunday for Family Day of Praise and Worship. Sunday school begins at 8 a.m. and for a power-packed, inspiring word. Join us for our worship service at 9 o'clock. See you there.
Thanks for tuning in to the Words to Empower radio broadcast. Join Pastor Stewart each weekday, Monday through Friday at 11:45 here on Praise FM. The Acts Church is located at the corner of 13th and Franklin in North Little Rock and at 1423 Ingram Street in Conway. Call 501-375-7700 for more information. There is a plague that has been transmitted in this country for years. Many people suffer from it and don't even know it. You could be a carrier of this epidemic. Here are a few symptoms: drug abuse, dropping out of high school, imprisonment, and even suicide. It's the father deficiency, the most needed vitamin in America. It's also the title of a book written by Frank Stewart, providing 29 tools needed to overcome growing up without a good father. Visit fatherdeficiency.org to order your copy or call 501-329-2055.
Youth Challenge is a free structured program for youth ages 16 through 19 that have dropped out of high school. It's located at Camp Robinson in North Little Rock. Youth Challenge is a voluntary 22-week residential program. Now enrolling for January. For the opportunity to earn your GED and have a new beginning in life, call 1-800-814-8453. 1-800-814-8453. Now enrolling for January.